with Chapter 6, and I am here to do a book review over The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. According to Wikipedia, this book was originally published December 12th of 1966. Its original publisher was George Allen and Unwin. Now that is not actually the book that I read. I read a bind-up version. I forgot to bring it with to my mom's house with me, so I'm not actually going to be able to show it. But I read a bind-up version. It's the 50th anniversary edition, and it has The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King in it. So I just read a bind-up. The Fellowship of the Ring is the first book in the Lord of the Rings series. It has 423 pages, and I give this book a good rating. It is amazing. I loved reading it. It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were given to the race of men, who above all desired power. For within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged a secret master ring to control all others, and into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all. One by one, the free lands of Middle-earth fell to the power of the ring, but there were some who resisted. A last alliance of men and elves marched against the armies of Mordor, and on the slopes of Mount Doom, they fought for the freedom of Middle-earth. Victory was near, but the power of the ring could not be undone. It was in this moment, when all hope had faded, that Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword. Sauron, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth, was defeated. The ring passed to Isildur, who had this one chance to destroy evil forever. But the hearts of men are easily corrupted, and the Ring of Power has a will of its own. It betrayed Isildur to its death, and some things that should not be forgotten were lost. History became legend became myth, and for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge, until, when chance came, it ensnared a new bearer. The ring came to the creature Gollum, who took it deep into the tunnels of the Misty Mountain, and there it consumed him. The ring brought Gollum a natural long life. For 500 years, it poisoned his mind, and in the gloom of Gollum's cave, it waited. But something happened that the ring did not intend. It was picked up by the most unlikely creature imaginable, a hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. Shortly after, Bilbo leaves the ring to his nephew Frodo, just after Sauron begins his rise to power again. The ring wants to return to his master, and Frodo must destroy it before the ring destroys himself, and evil conquers Middle-earth forever. Okay, so first I want to talk about the book, and then I will be talking about the movie, and then I will be talking about a comparison between them both. So first of all, I just want to say that the book is so good. I had heard a lot of bad things about the book. Like, I heard that it was all description. I heard that it was really confusing. And at times I was a little confused, but not nearly as much as I thought I was going to be. And I also really didn't feel like there was that much description. I don't know if it gets worse throughout the series, because I know in the movies the first book has a lot more going on, and then the second book is more of them just running through the land and stuff like that. So I don't know if the second and third book are the ones where there is a bunch of scenery and a bunch of description, but I really enjoyed the first one. I didn't really get bored very often. It's a very big book though, so it was a little intimidating at first, but do not be intimidated, because I assure you, you will love it. I completely fell in love with the characters. I had already seen them from the movie, so I did know a little bit about them already, but I loved them. I loved getting to know them a lot better. I loved getting to experience the real character, because no matter how you try to interpret it, it's somebody else's interpretation in a movie. So finally getting to see them from my perspective, how J.R.R. Tolkien meant for me to see it, was amazing. I love Frodo. I love Sam even more. Sam's always been my favorite character, and I love Sam even more. And Gandalf is awesome. I did find, however, that the dialogue was a little cheesy. Not necessarily cheesy, but it was a little odd. It was odd dialogue, but it wasn't all the time just randomly someone would say something that was a little corny. But then again, you have to think that this book was written in 1966, so of course it's going to be a little corny. It's going to be a lot different than the YA books that we read now that have much more common dialogue and much more age-appropriate dialogue. I feel like that the plot of The Lord of the Rings is one of the most interesting plots I have ever heard. It's this crazy, amazing, invented world, and all these things are going on inside of it. Like, you have the elves, you have the hobbits, you have the dwarves, you have men, you have the rangers, you have the wizards, you have all this crazy stuff. The orcs, and it's all just combined in this one little world, and there's so much chemistry and so much detail that I could believe that this was a real place. I could believe that this, like, I could be reading a really interesting history book, because there's just so much put into this book that it's so real. And what's funny is that this was actually a bedtime story for J.R.R. Tolkien's kids. I read this somewhere, I don't remember where, so I'm not 100% sure if it's 100% accurate. But I read that he would tell the tale of the Hobbit, which I read a really long time ago. He would tell that to his kids before bed at night, and then it became so popular, somehow it got, like, heard of, that he invented this more adult story to be published, and then the Hobbit is the prequel to it. And I think that is so cool. It's so interesting to see, like, this. Could you imagine having this story told to you as a bedtime story? It's crazy. Now I want to talk a little bit about the movie. I actually saw the movies before I read the book, so that may have enhanced my book experience in some ways, because I already got to fall in love with the characters, and you do fall in love with the characters in the movie, because it's just so amazing, and just like the same way with the book, it's so in depth, it's so in detail, and for someone who loves mythical things like that, like dragons and slaying dragons in the medieval world where there's all this magic, you want to live in this world, and I definitely wanted to live in this world when I was watching the movie, and it's just amazing. It's so easy to fall in love with the characters because they're so personable, and they have such a deep love for each other that it makes you love them. Like Samwise Gamgee, he's my favorite character, like I said. He is so loyal to Frodo, and I think that is so amazing. It made me love him even more, and it's so easy to fall in love with these characters. And there's Strider, who is one of my all-time favorite characters in the movie. I didn't like him as much in the book as I did in the movie, but I did like him in the movie a lot. And there's Gandalf, who's cool either way. It's just such a good series, and they're 3 hours long though, so that sucks. They're about 3 hours long. But when we were little, one year around when the third movie came out, I think it was the third movie, I was probably like 12 to 14, I don't know exactly what, in that age range. The week before we went to go see the third movie, I had the flu, and my fever got so high that I got a nosebleed and had to jump in the shower and take like a freezing ice cold shower to bring it down really fast. And then that week later, I got a swimmer's ear in this ear and an ear infection in this ear. So, like, I was, like, dead. It was during my Christmas break, and I didn't even get up to open Christmas presents because I was just, like, dead. We still went and saw the Lord of the Rings movie because that's how into it we were. And I was, like, 100% okay the whole time just because it's such a good series. And their movies are so realistic. The plot is just as wonderfully developed in the movies as it is in the books. So I definitely enjoyed both. I think that the movie also gets a good rating. Now I want to talk about the book to movie interpretation. I think that they did a great job getting all that's in the book put into the movie in such a realistic way. Like, the hobbits look perfect. Gandalf is amazing. They did great with the characters. They all look exactly how I imagine one would picture them. I had saw the movie first, so obviously I just pictured them how they were in the movie, but it fit the description in my head unless I just ignored it. And they made Middle-earth look so amazing, and they did a great job with the Shire. It's absolutely beautiful. The little hobbit holes are amazing. The Inn of the Prancing Pony, all the special effects, everything, it's just amazing how well that these two were put in together and molded. I think that they really did the book justice for the fans, and I think that's why it has such a huge following, because it's this crazy mythical world that everyone gets to fall in love with, and all these nerds that needed something to put their nerd energy into found this series and gave it so much power. And it's so heartbreaking to watch these series. You really fall in love with them in the book and the movie, and I think that they did a great job. The one thing that I wish that they would have kept in was Tom Bombadil, and he is a character that is in the book, but somehow didn't make it to the cut of the movie. And I just feel like he is so funny. I feel like he was a great character, and I feel like they really missed out by not putting him into the movies, because there are some people who are too intimidated by the book to read it, and they're going to miss out on this great character and this great little tidbit that happens in the woods. So, and I'm sure he comes into play later in the series. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read it, but it seemed like he's going to come into play later, and I just feel like it was just so good. It was a great series either way, book or movie. And I completely botched this review, but that's really all I can say about it. Was the special effects in the movie were amazing. They did a great job interpreting from the book, and in the book you love the characters. J.R.R. Tolkien sets up an amazing world, and yeah, it's just great. And if you are intimidated by it, I suggest going and checking it out anyways, because it does get a little long. It also, for some reason, the book is, each book is set up into 2 books, which is weird. When I first picked it up, I thought that, because it says book 1, and I thought that that was the Fellowship of the Ring, but then little did I know, I got halfway through what the Fellowship of the Ring movie was, and I fall into book 2 of the Fellowship of the Ring. So I don't know what's the deal with that, but there are 2 books in each book. So it really seems long, and I liked the second book better than I liked the first book, which is weird because I liked the first part of the movie better than I liked the second part of the movie. So, weird. But yeah, that is my review of The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I hope you guys liked it. Tell me what you think of the movies or what you think of the books. Yeah, I'm Jessica with Chapter 6, and this chapter was for you.